Hello and welcome to the McTaggart Attack Podcast. I'm Kevin McTaggart, and in this episode, I'm going to talk about how my Christmas weekend went. It had its ups and downs, mostly downs, waiting in cars for Chinese food, and possible food poisoning. So, enjoy. Oh, and if you enjoy this episode, feel free to like it and also subscribe, rate, and review if you're listening to the episode. But if you're watching the episode on YouTube, hit the like button if you enjoyed me talking about my Christmas weekend. So, how was my Christmas weekend? Let's see. New Year's Eve, we ordered Chinese food from Peking, Tokyo in Lebanon, New Hampshire. And my dad called it in, placed the order. They told us 45 minutes. And we got there, at the time we were supposed to get there. He went in. I waited in the car. That's what usually happens. And usually he's back out within minutes. But I'm waiting in there. I'm waiting in there in the car. And he texts me to say that he's in line, a really long line. And he doesn't know how long it'll take. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just in the car looking at my phone. And then like a half an hour goes by. And I'm thinking, I should go in there. But then I think, wait, I don't have a mask. I wasn't planning to leave the car. I didn't have a mask. There were some masks out in the car, but I'm pretty sure they belonged to other people. So I ultimately looked in the glove compartment, and sure enough, there were a bunch of extra unused masks. So I put that mask on, went over to the restaurant, and sure enough, there was still a line there from like the door of the restaurant all the way winding around inside the restaurant. And I waited outside of the restaurant. I'm inside the complex that it's in, that the restaurant is in. But I'm outside the door of the restaurant, and people kept asking me if I was in line, and I wasn't in line. So, I did that. And then, let's see, what else? Ultimately, I went inside the restaurant because I could see where he was, where my dad was in line. So I went up to him and said, hey, where's the food? And then, right at that moment, the food showed up. So I'm like, oh, wow, I should have came in here 45 minutes ago. But I didn't. So they told us 45 minutes, but it took more like 90 minutes for the food to show up. So that's how Christmas Eve was. It was fine. Fortunately, they had just cooked the food, so it wasn't like cold or anything. So that was good. Christmas Day arrives, open the gifts. Got a new golf bag, one that I had picked out. That's the best way to get presents, is to pick them out, quite frankly. But other than that, stayed in the house and didn't do much of anything that day. And that was Friday, and then Saturday, I went on a little bit, finally. I finally left the house for the first time since I had left the house for the Chinese food on Thursday. Recorded a few TikTok videos, by the way. Follow me on TikTok, at McTaggart Attack. And let's see, what else? We had Subway for dinner. And then I found out that Luke Harper, WWE wrestler Luke Harper, had passed away from a lung issue. He was Brody Lee in AEW. He was so underused in WWE. So underused. So sad. He was 41 years old. So sad to see him go. I have to think that they knew that it was coming. Because at the Christmas Eve AEW show, the spoilers included them having Brody Lee Jr. win the title from Kenny Omega in an unofficial capacity. So I have to think they did that because they knew something was going to happen. Something bad. But I didn't think much of it at any time. I thought, when I read the spoilers originally, I thought it said that Brody Lee had won the title. I'm like, oh, well, that's weird, cool, good. That didn't happen. And it's just so sad. And then my stomach started acting up. Like some sort of burning, tense. My stomach got all tense and stuff. And I think it had to do with the turkey, the turkey bacon Chipotle sub I got from Subway. Because when I ate some of it, it did not taste that good. Like the meat part. But I'm like, I ate it anyway. Because I'm like, well, if something happens, something happens. And sure enough, I haven't felt right it's been about 24 hours since I had it. And I feel a lot better now, but just resting up. But yeah, it's been a screwed up past day with just me resting. That's what I did most of the Christmas vacation anyway, and that's all I could think of to do as a podcast episode for the McTaggart Attack Podcast. So there. I don't know what else to say. I think I've said all I was gonna say. So I hope everybody else had a great holiday, had a great Christmas. For those that celebrate Christmas, leave it in the comments and let me know how your Christmas went. Because I just wanted to do a podcast episode explaining how my Christmas weekend went, and I did that. So there. Hey, thank you so much for watching and or listening to the podcast today. I really appreciate it. If you watched it on YouTube, please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel and like the video. And if you listen to it on an audio podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to the podcast. And that's the bottom line. If you smell what the McTaggart Attack Podcast is cooking.